KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Colorado is home to lots of people who are passionate about bicycling. They ride during all seasons. I, on the other hand, am more of a casual bike rider. My black Schwinn stays in the garage until well into the month of May. And when I do get it out, it's like I've lost some of my Colorado cred because I let my bike sit for months on end, long enough to collect a bunch of spider webs. But as soon as I pump up the tires and take a few rides along the Poudre River Trail, I wonder why I waited so long. If you're anything like me, your bike hasn't seen the light of day all winter, and maybe longer. So today we are talking about how to get our bikes ready for summer riding. Here to talk me and us through all that today is Skylar Gantert. He's the owner of Road 34, a bike shop in Fort Collins, and he is a bike maintenance expert. Give me a sense of what it's like at your shop, Road 34, this time of year. Do you get a lot of people bringing in neglected bikes?
Yeah, we see a good mix of people that do their once-a-year tune-up. They get it once in the spring, and that usually covers them for the entire summer. We also get a lot of people that ride every day, and their bike is just seeing that much more use now that the weather's nice, and it just needs a little bit more love to keep it running well for them.
Sure. What do some of the more neglected bikes look like? I mean, have you ever seen one that's just in terrible shape?
I have seen bikes that have sat on bike racks for 6 months in the snow, and the chain looks like it's made of leather, and everything's kind of rusted together. But even a bike like that can be rehabbed.
That's encouraging. Okay, I'm going to be honest and say that there have been times when it was a couple years since my bike has been around the block. Let's talk about tires. When I first get it out again after the winter, what should I look for when it comes to the tires?
Yeah, a simple visual inspection, just looking for cracks along the edges. They will dry rot. Definitely want to check for the air inside of them as well. One simple way to make your bike ride that much easier is to have enough air.
Absolutely. And how common is it for people to come into the shop thinking something is wrong, and then it turns out they just need to pump up the tires?
Yeah, it happens all the time. It feels like you're riding uphill constantly if you don't have enough air.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I'm really out of shape.
Yeah.
And is there a good tire pressure to aim for?
Depending on the tire, it's all dependent on the width. So if you're looking at a mountain bike, somewhere around 30 pounds is perfect. And then on a road bike, anywhere up to 90 or 100.
All right, so my tires are ready to go. Let's talk about the chain, which can also be a problem part of the bike. What do I need to look for with the chain?
You look for any dirt or gunk that's collected on it and simply cleaning that off with like a citrus cleaner that you might have around the house, something super mild, or really well diluted dish soap would take care of cleaning that off. Mm-hmm. But every time you clean it, you want to make sure you're lubing it again with the proper bike lube.
Okay. Yeah, and so can I just use anything that I have around the house, like WD-40 or something like that?
You'll definitely want to avoid a WD-40, or a lot of the household lubricants will be sticky, so you're actually going the opposite direction with it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
If you don't want to make it worse for next time.
Yes, yeah, it'll be good for a ride, and then it'll start gunking up. A lot of those household lubricants are sticky, so you do just end up attracting more dirt than you started with.
So if not WD-40, what is a proper lubricant for a chain, and where can I find that?
Yeah, most bike shops will carry bike-specific lubes, which are Teflon-based, or some of them will be wax-based. Both of those are designed to go on and dry so that they aren't a sticky surface to draw more dirt in.
All right, so I know a lot of people who don't ride too often because it's not comfortable. How does seat height affect someone's comfort level in riding a bike, and how do you help people out with that?
Yeah, proper seat height's a huge thing. For comfort, for power output, you want to be just less than a full extension of your leg at the deepest point. So one good way to quickly set it would be to sit on the seat, put your heel on the pedal, and if your leg is fully extended, by the time you put your foot where it should be, then you're in a perfect position.
All right, what about seat comfort? Sometimes the old rear end gets pretty sore, even though I have a sort of a giant squishy seat on my bike.
Yeah, sometimes the giant squishy ones aren't always the best option. The best bet, unfortunately, because everybody's different, is to go take a look at what a bike shop carries and actually sit on them in the shop. But unfortunately, there's no one size fits all, and it's trial and error sometimes.
Sure. All right, let's talk about brakes because my brakes get kind of squeaky sometimes after the winter. What do I do if I have squeaky brakes that don't really work very well? Is this something I can address at home?
Yeah, a simple start to that. If they're rim bikes, like an older road bike or even the older mountain bikes, would be to just take your general rubbing alcohol and cleaning off the rims. A lot of the squeaking is caused by grease getting on the rim or any other sticky substance. And if you just clean that off with alcohol and lightly sand the pads, you can usually take care of that yourself.
Okay. And if you have more complicated brakes,
Well, then you might want to go to your local bike shop.
fair enough.
So you can clean off the rotor of the disc brake with rubbing alcohol as well.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's a easy way to start. It might not fix it, but it's a great one to do yourself before committing to a bike shop.
All right. Skylar, say someone really wants to keep their bike in good order this year, and they have maybe $100 to spend on putting together a bike maintenance kit. What do you recommend go into that kit?
Definitely investing in a pump and a set of tire levers and learning how to change your own flat is perfect, whether it be on the side of the trail or when you get home. Regardless, that is probably the most common malfunction, and being able to fix that yourself goes a long way. But otherwise, a nice set of Allen wrenches or even just a multi-tool is something that's designed to cover basically all the bolts and nuts on a bike. Usually you can buy one tool that contains everything.
And how hard is it to change a tube? Asking for myself who's never done it.
Not particularly hard. If you've done it once or twice, you can repeat it over and over. So finding someone who knows, who can show you, is a fantastic way to learn. But really, once you've learned, you can do it over every day if you had to.
What do you say to someone who might be a bit nervous about messing something up permanently, perhaps, by trying to do their own maintenance?
I will say that's how I learned to work on a bike. But a bike shop is more than happy to fix what you've caused if you want to make the first attempt at it. And if you get nervous about going too deep on it, or you tried your best and just didn't get where you want to be, a bike shop will gladly help you out with that and get it fixed.
Skylar Gantert is owner of Road 34, a bike shop in Fort Collins. He says if you really want to explore do-it-yourself bike maintenance, there are plenty of resources. That includes YouTube videos. And a lot of cities like Fort Collins or Boulder have bike co-ops where an expert will actually teach you to tune up your bike. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.